These are actually mind-blowing. I mean, how can a person be such a dick? Story 1I got a teen fired on his first day for giving me a purple Nurple and not apologizing. I have no idea if this would be considered NSFW, but I'm marking it just to be safe and for my own comfort. This happened last year when I was a freshman in high school. My parents make me go to a place called Mathnasium, where there are tables set up for maybe 24 kids to do math for an hour 3 days a week. I show up as usual to find that a new tutor has been hired. He was only a year older than me, and I could tell he was easily agitated. I set up my work, get started, and we end up making small talk. I ask him where he goes to school. We talk about construction going on at my high school, and I get back to work. At some point I get something
wrong, and he comes over to correct me.
I try again, and he says it's wrong. I ask him if he can help me, and he just writes the problem again with no clues on how to do the problem. I check my answer and don't see a problem with it, so I ask for help again. He yells at me and just repeats the same thing as last time, and I'm still confused. After some back and forth of me getting it wrong, asking for help, then being yelled at, I get fed up and grab the answer key from the table. This man flies over the table like a foxy, FNAF 2 jump scare, reaches for the answer key, but ends up pinching and twisting my nipple. I knew this was very likely an accident, so I just said, "Dude, you just pinched my nipple." And this boy just goes, "So?" It was either so or okay but that doesn't matter all that much. This dude showed no remorse for this. So now I'm asking what the hell is wrong with him. Frustrated tears falling down my face, and people are turning to look. I'm not embarrassed, but I am angry that this dude thinks he can pull my nips and not apologize. I'm not the kind of person to demand an apology for everything, but if anything deserves an apology, this is it. I went through the rest of the hour with drying tears on my face, trying to ignore the lingering feeling on my chest. This was also the first time both my parents came to pick me up from math. They asked me how it went, and I start crying. I tell them what happened, and they storm into the building. They talk to the owner, polite yet clearly pissed, and they check the security cameras. They confirm what happened, and the owner tells me not to grab the key again, which made me a bit angry since I only did it to get the dude off my back. But I agreed to not cause a fight. The tutor is called over, and from what I know, got fired. Even a year later, my dad still makes me go to Mathnasium despite my attempts to stop. Even now, I stop breathing when new tutors try to talk to me, and I can't even sit between two people without freaking out. My therapist knows this story, and I've told some friends. Sometimes I still feel it and have to shower to get the feeling off. It's not an exciting story, but the experience has impacted me despite how small it is. Would you have reacted the same way or let it slide? What's the line between accident and assault? Do you think the tutor deserved to be fired? Or was it an overreaction? Has something this awkward ever happened to you in school? Story 2I walked out of class because the teacher kept touching me. This was a few years ago, but it still irks me a bit. Sometime back in middle school, it was summer, and my mom signed me up for a theater class. My parents insist on making sure I socialize with people my age because of my difficulties talking to others due to my autism. In case you don't know, autism affects everything in my life, including my main 5 senses. Because of this, it feels like bugs crawling over me when someone so much as bumps into me. This teacher, I don't remember her name, was a middle-aged white woman. I thought she seemed nice, and she was, and I enjoyed the class as it went on. At some point, she had grabbed my arm, and I told her that it made me uncomfortable and to not do that again. She said she understood and agreed not to touch me again. But then she did. During a group activity, she touched me on purpose again, and I told her I wasn't comfortable and would leave if she continued to ignore my explicitly set boundaries. She laughed it off and did it again, so I stood up and grabbed my stuff. She tried to stop me, but I just left. I went downstairs and left the building, then went to a school playground across the street. After a while sitting there entertaining myself, I got uncomfortable and texted my mom. My mom was back quickly, and she was pissed at this teacher. Not only for touching an autistic child after being told directly not to, but for not calling her when I left the building. We went in. My mom complained in the most polite yet stern way I've ever heard a parent do, and the teacher had to apologize to us. I don't remember much other than the fact my mom wasn't mad at me. She was worried about me leaving, but she was glad I stood up for myself. How would you handle someone ignoring your personal boundaries like that? Do you think the teacher should have faced bigger consequences? What's your opinion? Should people in authority be held more accountable when dealing with neurodivergent students? Story 3. I had made a short film that had gotten into a festival, and I had to travel down to Busan from Seoul on the fast train. Super expensive. I was looking good, wearing cool clothes, including a pair of leather shoes I had thrifted. Bad mistake. By the time I left the subway in Busan and walked 100 meters towards the theater, where I was due to give a speech, the top of one of the shoes was starting to flap. I managed to hook my big toe over it to hold it down, but the sides were now lifting up. People I was passing were starting to notice, as it looked like I had a club foot. In the end, I had to take the shoe off and throw it away. I now had one shoe and a limp. This was in an area full of apartments. No shops, not even a convenience store. I hopped along, then the other shoe came apart, and I had to throw that away. What the fuck should I do? I'm in an unfamiliar city, shoeless, and on top of that the glue had left big black oily patches on my feet. I walked shoeless to the theater. If you know Korea at all, you know how well-dressed people are. I honestly didn't know what I should do. Not go, even though I was expected, and it would ruin my reputation. I honestly felt like crying. I made it to the theater and was ushered to the front before I could explain my situation to my co-director. Had to give a speech shoeless and with oily feet to people I was trying to impress. Then I had to walk to find a store shoeless. Not the most embarrassing, but definitely stands out as one of the most hopeless situations I have been in. And I had to buy shoes from a department store. Not only were they $300 designer sneakers, they were too big so looked like clown shoes. I couldn't sell them because they were full of oil from my dirty feet. Worst trip of my life. Would you have still gone on stage shoeless or dipped? What would you have done in a city you don't know?